And we're live now. All right, let me just go ahead and share my screen and bring everything back up.
Yeah. Hold
And we're live now. All right, let me just go ahead and share my
Hold on,
screen
let
and
me
bring
turn her
everything
down.
back up.
You got it? Yeah, they're just starting, so we're just chatting. So you're no problem. They're either going to put you on a public comment, so you've got some time because we have to go through roll call on all of their meetings before we get to public comment.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Okay, there's some feedback going on. I don't know whose computer it is.
All right, wait, hold on. Sorry, I just got to get my screen back. I don't know where she went.
So that's me. I'm trying to get off YouTube.
Wait, hold on. Sorry, I just got to get my screen back. I keep hearing myself. Every time I hear my voice on recording. Sorry, y'all. You got to hear me talk for so long.
No, so what happened was it was live. The link is live, and I'm on the YouTube link, and you couldn't shut that. That's what you're hearing.
All right.
You might confuse.
Is everybody able to see the agenda?
Yes, can you blow
And
it up?
can y'all hear me? Oh, I need to record this too. Haha.
No, it's actually recording, Mackenzie. It's streaming to YouTube.
It is? Oh no, but for like the minutes I have to record so it can so I can send to Francis after.
Yeah.
All right, we're all ready to go. So I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 12:05 p.m. and we'll begin with the roll call. So myself, I am here. Chris?
Here.
Christina?
Here.
Louise? Oh, wait, Louise?
Here.
Sorry. Alec?
Here.
Jasmine?
Here.
Kelly?
Here.
Emmanuel?
Present.
Kyle?
Here.
David?
Here.
All right, we're all here. Before we proceed any further, I would like to acknowledge that we are conducting business on the native land of the Hahamanga tribe and that we should be respectful of those who came before us and offer a moment of silence. All right, moving on. All right, so moving on to approval of the agenda of October 7th. Just same as every week, if everything looks good and there's nothing that needs to be edited or changed, then I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I would like to table item 5B because the committee didn't come to a consensus yet.
All right. Any other notes? Then I'd like to go ahead and make and entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the noted changes. Can I get it first?
I first.
I second.
All right. First by Chris, second by Jasmine. We'll go ahead and bring it to a roll call vote. Chris?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Louise?
Aye.
Alex?
Aye.
Jasmine?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Emmanuel?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
All right, agenda has been approved unanimously. Moving on to approval of minutes for September 30th. Same as the agenda. If everything looks good and there's nothing that needs to be edited or changed, then I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the minutes of September 30th, 2020. So, here we go. Can I get a motion?
I move approval. Second.
All right. First by Kyle, second by David. We'll go ahead and bring this to a roll call vote. Chris?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Louise?
Aye.
Alex?
Aye.
Jasmine?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Emmanuel?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
All right, minutes have been approved unanimously. We can go ahead and move on to public comment on non-agenda items, and I believe we do have a member of the public here to speak with us today.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who I haven't yet met, my name is Dr. Cynthia Olivo, and I'm the Assistant Superintendent Vice President of Student Services. I just wanted to come and say hello to all of you. I miss students. Oftentimes the students that meet with me are the students who are, filing complaints, have concerns, etc. And so, lately I've been trying to resolve a lot of the matters that bubble up, but I wanted to also just make sure that you all know you can schedule meetings with me, and to ensure that you know how to do that. I have an amazing staff member. Her name is Kathy Barnes, and she can schedule meetings with me. And then I know Dean Cobb and your advisor, Carrie Afuso. They do an incredible job keeping you informed of all the services. But I just wanted to make sure you're aware of our social worker that we have. Her name is Susie Herrera. She's available virtually. And I just wanted to make sure you knew about her. And then Marissa de la Torre, she leads our Lancer Pantry. And we have our remote pantry, electronic grocery store gift cards, grocery bags available at a grocery store in Altadena. And then all of our team members have been trained to help our students file the paperwork for CalFresh. And then we also have peer counselors in the personal counseling department. I just wanted to make sure you are all informed, so that way when students come to you with needs, that you know how to refer them to these services. So if there's any way for us to make sure that you are informed, that way you can keep students informed. I don't know if we should agendize a presentation and or create a listserv, so that when we have updates, I make sure to include you. But just start thinking of those things that we need to do to keep the communication flowing, especially virtually. I know it's tougher to keep communication flowing virtually. What I'm doing in student services, I have over like 125 faculty, staff, and managers. I've created interdepartmental teams, and they will meet once a month to keep the communication flowing between departments. So I do believe this virtual this virtual situation requires us to think about the way we structure our communication differently. I don't know exactly what that is yet, how that should look, but I'm going to try some things out to make sure we all keep informed. I also started an Instagram. It's Dr. Cynthia Olivo. I do have a personal Instagram, but that has all of my personal opinions. So Dr. Cynthia Olivo will have pictures of events that I attend, etc. You can also follow Student Services at PCC_Student Services on Instagram. And I have a staff member. Her name is Evelyn Linares. She will post all the flyers for our events there. So tag us, follow us. Miss you all. And I know public comment's hard to respond, but thank you all for having me here today.
Hey, thank you for being here today. And I'll definitely be checking out those Instagrams to see all of the updates going on. All right. So now we can go ahead and move on to agenda item 3, introductions and reports, starting with board reports. We'll do this based off who I see first on my screen. So Chris, you get to start us off today.
Yeah, so I attended the Aspen Institute meeting yesterday discussing student experiences and my experience of why I think PCC should win the award. I had a robust discussion during the ICC funding committee last week. We weren't able to come to a conclusion, but I think based off of the foundation that we laid during that meeting, we can hopefully come to a consensus this Friday. We will have a meeting this Friday. At last week's ICC meeting, I released information about how clubs should utilize their stimulus money and what documents they need in order to do that. We had 2 interviews yesterday with the position of business affairs, and we all came to a consensus during that meeting. So Mackenzie will be the person to send out acceptance and rejection letters. Tomorrow we have a meeting to discuss and regroup on some privacy issues and the questions that we made before the AS working group meets on Friday to discuss with Crystal directly and iPro directly about how we're going to send out this survey. So yeah, a lot of things going on, but that's it for me.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Up next, we have Christina. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Yes, I do. So first I attended the Aspen Institute interview, and that was really fun. My breakout room gave a lot of insight on what we thought about PCC. I also attended the CCCUSA conference, and I met a lot of new people, and I gained a lot of new insights on what can be improved on. And we also played a lot of Among Us games, so that was really fun. We interviewed for the Vice President of Business Affairs, and that went really well. We have our final candidate, and we are hoping to bring them on board to the next meeting. And I started interviews for the Academic Commission, so far it's been really great. And today I have the hiring committee for the Vice President of Instruction. That's starting today, and I'm going to be leaving this meeting early to attend that meeting. The privacy group is meeting tomorrow and Friday to finalize and get insights on our survey. And our AS swag group has met and discussed which potential gear we are going to purchase. But that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Christina. Up next, we have Louise. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Yes, I do. Let me just pull it up really quick. All right. So, like most of the people here, I went to the Aspen interview, as well as I think Christina already mentioned the ASY group met, I think yesterday or Monday to discuss things that we're going to get for, sorry, there's a cat here, to discuss what we're going to get for the group. And then in terms of committee reports, I have just sent the results to the interviewees I did last week, and I will talk more about that later. And I'll have 8 people on that committee, including Alex. And I attended the strategic planning standing committee with Kyle in place of Christina, and we further discussed the vision for the school.
All right. Thank you, Louise. Up next, we have Kyle. Do you have anything you would like to report?
I actually have a lot of stuff, so I apologize preemptively.
We love long reports.
That's fine. Okay, so for my, individual report, I went to the CCSA conference with the rest of AS. I attended the ICC meeting on Friday with Chris, Jasmine, and Kelly, who were all there. I attended the ICC funding committee with Chris. I attended Jasmine's student solidarity event for like an hour before I had to leave for class. I did the Aspen interview, and the Aspen interview was really good, and so was Jasmine's event, by the way. And the Aspen interview was very fluid, dynamic. We got through a lot of information. The thing I liked most about it was that it was very, very focused on us and not so much on specific questions. And they would literally come up with questions on the spot, which was very conducive to a good interview experience. I thought that everybody interacted well, and it was a great experience, at least in our breakout room. And I had a meeting with Dean Cobb yesterday, and we discussed different voting events. So our preemptive plan is we're going to release 2 different videos on Monday, October 12th, which is next Monday. It's going to be regarding how to vote and the key propositions on the ballot. And also, I introduced the idea of having an AS podcast. And I said that I would share it if I decided not to do my UCLA class. And I decided not to do the class. So if anyone's interested in having some kind of UCLA or some kind of podcast for AS, where we talk about student issues, we talk about what's going on, I think that it would be great with, we can have the clubs come on using Chris as a modicum of trying to gain traction under that. I think it could be useful for long term. So if anyone's interested in helping to chair it with me and willing to take over some of the podcast sessions, that'd be really great. Or any ideas on that note. And okay, so the next point will be that we accepted new members into the AS group on Lancer Life. So these are just normal people, essentially, quote unquote, normal people who wanted to apply to the organization on Lancer Life. I accepted all of them last night, so I apologize if you're going to get mad at me after this. But I accepted them all and sent them an email. And if you looked at your email recently, you would have seen an email from me. It was regarding our committee apps to make sure that we have people that are applying to them and making sure all of them are filled. So that was sent out this morning at, I think it was 9 a.m. And after that, I scheduled committee interviews. All right, so now for committee reports. I attended the strategic planning committee and I attended the accreditation committee. So as strategic planning, I went there with Jasmine. We discussed the vision statement and we just reviewed different vision statements and see where ours fits in there. I think we have a pretty tentative vision statement going on for the future, which we will determine next time. And at the accreditation committee, we looked at the quality focused essay on collegiality and communication. We also went over IC5. It's one of the portions of the ICER. And in this ICER that we realized we did something that all the other community colleges did wrong. And that was we focused on board policy for a section where we can't have that be the basis. And we just amended that and made it so it's less reliant on board policy and more reliance on the actual structures we have in place. That's it for my board report. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that long report. Up next, we have Jasmine. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Yes. Hi, everyone. It's good to see you all. I hope you're having a good week so far. I want to thank everyone for their support and their kind messages on the event yesterday. I feel very inspired. I'm super motivated to continue the momentum of building solidarity, especially among our peers and and throughout like the world, right? And so the student solidarity panel was really, really empowering. I'm really happy with the outcome. For the upcoming events, we are having a drive up pickup goodies event for movie night. I'm still not sure what to call it, but it's a drive up giveaway. And I'm super excited to have that as well. Actually have folks drive up safely and grab their snacks and then follow up with a movie from 7 to 9 p.m. We're going to be showing COINTELPRO, and that's going to be hosted by CORE. And then moving forward, I did participate in the business affairs interviews with both of the candidates, and that will be announced very soon, which I'm super excited to have the rest of the board members fill the empty positions. I have some meetings coming up with the SAF and SSF meeting, the privacy issues survey discussion, along with Chris, Kyle, and Christina. And so my Aspen interview is actually still pending just because there was some confusion or some technical difficulties, we can say, but I believe Rebecca is still working a way to include me in this interview because I know it's super important and I would love to bring my experience in. Moving on with committee reports, I have a total of 5 applicants so far, and I decided to extend my deadline a little bit more just because I know midterms are here, and I actually would like to take a little bit more time with making sure I include a lot more folks, a lot more students that haven't had the opportunity to be involved with the associated students. And then, so please spread the word for the Equity Committee apps. And then I'm working on a formerly incarcerated, system impacted, and even currently incarcerated caucus group. I have been working on this along with folks from East LA College and other folks from PCC. We're trying to have folks bring in their experience and also advocate for those folks that have been marginalized and that are still trying to overcome adversity with higher education. So I am working on that. It's a statewide group. If you all know anyone that's interested, anyone that's down to collaborate on this caucus, everyone's welcome. That's all I have for my board reports. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jasmine. Up next, we have Kelly. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry for this setting, but so yes, actually, like Kyle mentioned, me, Kyle, and Dean Cobb, we met recently to talk about how can we really mobilize voters before registration, I guess the deadline, and also before November 3rd. And we are thinking of also creating, this is something me and Carrie talked about, a challenge event where essentially the board boasts a 100% voter registration rate, right? For those that can register, we've all registered. And then we I would forward this to Mackenzie. And Mackenzie, you can probably email the Academic Senate, or I can also go to one of their meetings and say oh, we challenged PCCAS challenges the Academic Senate to also boast a 100% voter registration rate. And then we can advertise that on social media, and then we can tag the next group of members. And then hopefully starting from Monday, we can tag a different group each day until Friday, if that makes sense. And then other than that, I also attended with Louise the meeting to create a Canvas communication hub. And I think that was really impactful because I know that one of the biggest problems we have as representative students is that there's a disconnect, right, between what we think the students want and what they actually want. And we're hoping that this Canvas will be able to connect us in terms of when we need to communicate, but also for when they need to communicate to us. I'm so sorry. Okay, and then also, the last thing is the lobby committee is looking pretty good. We're very excited. I do have a few applicants. I do want to keep it small, but we should be emailing out the results by the end of this week. But that's the reports that I have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kelly. Up next, we have Emmanuel. Emmanuel, do you have anything you would like to report?
Yes, hello, everyone. I'd like to report that I attended the calendar committee meeting last week. I voted no on the approval of the 2022-2023 calendar. It was still approved. We discussed a potential add-on day of an observance day in California, the California Admissions Day. It'll be further discussed. I gave input on that, saying that it would be kind of dumb to pass that because it would counteract the purpose of us acknowledging this land that we reside on. And that is it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Emmanuel. Up next, we have Alex. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Yeah, so I think half of us attended the Seesaw conference on Friday, which gave me an opportunity to network with other AS organizations in CCs nearby, which helped me figure out how to plan certain events with LA county regulations and stuff. So that was useful to me. Like Christina and Emmanuel, I attended last week's calendar committee meeting, which was eventful. I'm working on a mock-up of a Discord server to help further student engagement that I can present to hopefully be something that we implement in the future. And then I am still in the process of interviewing candidates for my campus activities committee. Other than that, I don't have anything to report.
All right. Thank you, Alex. Up next, we have David. Do you have anything you would like to report?
I don't have much to report. I just wanted to report that I've been spending a lot of time with in trustee work groups and with trustees across the state to work on toolkits to provide for guidelines to implement the DEI integration, and the diverse equity and inclusion, and that's for trustees to follow across the state. So that's a lot of what I've been doing. And also I just wanted to put on your guys' radar that next meeting I'm going to be working with Mackenzie to hopefully pass a resolution in support of Proposition 16 for AS. So hopefully we can get that through and maybe get other clubs to sign up.
All right, great. Thank you for that report. So I'll go ahead. We're up to my own report. Let me just pull it up here real quick. So I won't keep it as long as Kyle's, but I do got a lot to report. So I attended accreditation standing committee with Kyle as long as I could. I had to leave early due to interviews for business affairs. But speaking of which, we have concluded all of our interviews for the vice president of business affairs. And this time next week, we shall finally be a full, complete board. So that is very exciting. I attended the student success committee where they were discussing what actions the group could take to fulfill their three goals, which were to be a hub hub and provide a lens for efforts that are happening throughout the college, partner with divisions and colleagues throughout the college, and build pathways from non-credit to credit. There was a lot of, they had a whole document for this, which I'll share a link to that at the end of this because I forgot to include it in this reports. Let's see. Also, I had Aspen interviews yesterday with the rest of the group. Overall, I feel as though they went very well. They were interested to hear what we all had to say. Like, they were genuinely interested to hear all of our stories, and I liked that. I have a good feeling for PCC that we have a good shot at winning this. I attended Seesaw on Friday, where I went to workshops for mental health, virtual event spending, cancel culture, how to advertise your events. It was really fun to go to, even though it was a very long day. It was fun to see all of the different student leaders we have around California. I attended Jasmine's Student Solidarity event, and big props to her. This is one of the biggest turnouts I've seen for virtual events. She had 74 participants at a time, and I am so proud of her for doing this. I think she broke a little record for us, so shout out to Jasmine for this event. Let's see. I will be contacting all the candidates that we interviewed for the executive board by Friday. And other than that, I believe that's all I have for my own report, so we can go ahead and move on to advisor reports.
I'll go first since mine's short and I never go first. So I just wanted to say, like you, I also attended the Seesaw conference. That was last Friday. I attended an advisor breakout session, and it was very interesting to hear what some of the other community colleges throughout California have done in response to COVID. And one of the issues that I brought up was the whole privacy issue, and a lot of the advisors hadn't even thought about that, and a lot of the individuals that were on there we were talking about that, and they're all in the same boat as we are. There is no other alternative to things like Proctorio and things like Zoom, but issues were raised that we have been talking about in the privacy group as well. First thing, I also attended the Latino, Latina, Latinx Mixer, which was thrown by the Cross Cultural Center and Matt, but was hosted by Ale. And it was very, very fun. I had a lot of good time in that mixer. And then I transitioned to the Solidarity event, which Jasmine threw together. I'm going to reiterate, that was an extremely successful event. It was so powerful. It was so moving. And I just want to, give credit where credit's due. So great job, Jasmine. I'm looking forward to all the other events that we have this year when it comes to that, because I think now it's more important than ever to build solidarity between Black and Brown folks on campus. Let's see, I'm reaching the end of one of my classes. So I have a paper due in about a week and a half that's due for this class. And so if you need me for anything next week, just let me know so that way I can pencil you into my schedule. And that way we can either meet, or if you need an advisor present at an event or anything, just let me know. So I'm a little bit not on crunch time, but I just wanted to let you know my sort of schedule for all of that. And that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jordan. Which advisor would like to go next?
I'll go, because I'm always the longest, right? So one of the things, we'll be inviting Dr. Olivo back because you have asked to participate and how COVID-19 funds or resources get distributed. And so Dr. Olivo had offered last week to come to one of your meetings so you can provide her direct input on your thoughts on that distribution. So if it works for her schedule, it'll be next Wednesday. So she'll be here to talk about that. Additionally, Stephanie Fleming, who is the Dean of Instructional Support, reached out to me. She would like to be on the agenda next week to talk about privacy issues and your concerns with Proctorio and some of the other testing, oversight, software, etc., and those issues that you have. So she could also hear directly from you, your concerns, how it works for you, what you'd like to see, etc. So we need to make sure that we place those two things on the agenda for next week. And I think it's a great opportunity. So be thinking about, you've asked for all this for input. And now folks are coming to you. So be prepared. And I know you usually are. Be prepared with the questions or input you wanted to give on those topics. Okay. So I want to say thank you to Kyle and Kelly for meeting with me. And Kyle, I told you, if you say it out loud, that means you got to do it. So that was a great idea, your AS podcast. I am glad you're able to do it. I'm sure it's disappointing about your UCLA class, but so
I got the course, but she told me it's going to take 10 hours a week. And I looked at my schedule and I said, I don't have 10 hours a week.
So you thought, hey, I'll do a podcast. So thank you for that. So I did reach out to Academic Senate leadership about supporting AS's efforts and Office of Student Life efforts to share information through Academic Senate and through faculty about voting and about the events and activities you all are doing and folks are doing across campus related to voting. I didn't talk about the challenge. I'll let you do that. But so I sent the leadership the email this morning when Kelly emailed me about the challenge and some other ideas as well. And so, so far I've heard from a couple of folks that they're in support, but they will take it to the Academic Senate as well. So I did reach out to them for that. And so just so you know, also, as we're talking about voting and elections, and one of the things we talked about is, you know, to make sure students understand that there is a presidential election, but to also look down ballot. And that the down ballot items are the ones that really impact students and folks in the communities most directly. And I know that was very important for Kelly and Kyle to make sure that there's information about at least ballot measures that they believe will most directly impact students, as well as just focusing students to down ballot as well as the presidential election, because I know some students may be getting turned off because of the apparent chaos or the created chaos around voting and elections and confusion. But it's really important that the message we deliver is that's not the only thing on the ballot, right? And so, so by the end of today, a letter will be going out from me to all the students with voter registration information and the event on Monday, and as well as some other information that Alex Bucklehide has included. So we'll be sending that out today to all students. Okay. And also, if folks have information that you're getting in your communities about voting information specifically targeting certain or specific populations, please forward that to me, because we're developing a website, a web page that will be a landing page for information about voting. And so it's really important to target our information too, so that we don't give out the impression that voting is only for certain kinds of people. You know, if you're over 50, you're the only folks voting, right, in a certain community. But so if you have or you're receiving information that is specific to a certain community, please forward that information to me so that we can make sure that that gets on what I'm calling the Lancers Vote landing page. Okay, and I think I'm done. That was pretty good. Oh, Cross Cultural Center is sponsoring a series of faculty, staff, and student mixers. And I think it's really important. I went to the Latinx one yesterday and it was so much fun. So I think it's really important that AS participate in these. I think you get to know people and also students get to know you, and it's a way you can support these different communities. I'm done.
All right. Thank you, Dean Cobb. Oh, and I believe someone asked when the next one is.
I'm gonna find that while you all are talking.
All right.
Go to go to AS Instagram, because those are continually posted there. Because I think David, you probably pull it off the Cross Cultural Center. If not, look at Cross Culture Center IG there and PCC Lancer. They're all posted there. But looking at my calendar, I think we got one coming up. I know the Asian one is coming up too in the soon. But so I'll go briefly. Not a lot. There's folks have covered a lot of it. I too went to the Seesaw workshop. I'm glad that you were able to go. I was not able to be there all the time. I was kind of in and out, unfortunately, and didn't get to all the workshops. I was very excited about the workshop. I think David McKenzie, you and I were all there about Tammy's workshop about what you can spend your money on, your $2 fund on. So that was actually very good and helpful. And I hope you all got to meet each other, meet different folks, because I think that is always the main point of these conferences, is that you get to meet other folks, and when you're in person, you actually get to talk to them and hear their stories and understand how they interpret the laws and how their structure is set up. So it kind of helps you give context for your own. It's very, very interesting when you see that. Couple other things. I sent you all an email regarding another conference that I think would be of interest to you all. It's the CCLC, which is California Community College League. Oh no, Cynthia, what is it? What is CCLC again? I forget.
Community College League of California.
There we go. They do a fantastic conference, and when it's in person, it is top notch. And they usually have it at a fancy pants resort, and we all have a really, folks who go there really enjoy themselves, get to mix and mingle, and that's where presidents, trustee members, they all go. Well, like everything else, it's now virtual, but bless them, they've decided to make it free. So it's really cool. It's like 3 days long, and it's packed with workshops. And I suggest you sign up to go. You do not have to go to the whole thing, but once you sign up, they will send you a link to the conference application and the conference app, and you can go through there and you can pick and choose and see what you're interested in going to and sign up for those specific workshops it's over a course of 3 days. And it really is enlightening to understand. Sometimes there's frustrations on our level because we are told that we can only, for instance, CARES, you can only use this money in this manner. And we don't know why. Well, when you go to CCLC, you understand why, because it's the statewide perspective. So I really would say it's free. I sent you all the link just before the meeting, about an hour before the meeting. Sign up, download the app, and pick out which workshops you want to go to. Like I said, I think it'd be impossible for you to go to all three unless you just kind of gave up on life and lived on Zoom. But pick and choose and, go to a couple workshops, because this is probably an opportunity that will not happen again, because it's AS bonding. Yeah, we used to go to these conferences for the weekend to bond, and we'd have a fun time. So now you got to bond over Zoom. But really, again, take a look at that. I highly recommend you do it. It's an amazing resource that we probably would not be able to take all of you, because this conference is usually a couple $1,000s, and they usually stay at like really nice resorts in Palm Springs, and we can't afford to take you all. So there's that. Coming up, we've got you got 2 new people who are coming on, and I'm very excited about that. But I also want to make sure that you start thinking about how you are onboarding these folks. You all yourselves are still novices at doing activities and events. So you want to make sure that Mackenzie, I would highly suggest that you think of assigning this person a mentor whom they work with, and introduce them to the ways of AS, help them with paperwork, show them where things are virtually, because these people will both have to hit the ground running, especially this communications person, the public relations, because there's a lot that's happening on. So just understand that. Anyone who's on the SWAG committee, make sure when this person is announced, you reach out to that person and make sure they're included, because usually this is something that they order or take advantage of, okay? Last thing is, who's keeping the calendar? I know you have a calendar of events, and I was looking at the wrong one. Is the one that Jasmine is doing the current one, or is the one that Louise put together the current one?
Jasmine, I think.
Okay. Just want to remind you to please put everything on Jasmine's calendar, because A, she does the newsletter for you all, And B, we need to be able to send that out and have one central location to find stuff. As we get more and more involved and busy doing things, we're going to need to keep track of that, okay? Because you're going to start having events that happen really rapid fire, especially with elections coming up and Spirit Week coming up. So if you have not already done so, please make sure you do that. I know you've all done ARFs and stuff like that, but on top of an ARF, we're going to need you to make sure you put it on the calendar so the group knows what's going on. And Christopher just put, Chris, is that the link there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Chris, can you put it in the shared documents file of our AS Google?
Is it not already in there? We can talk about it after me. I don't know who owns this file, but I just have a link. I have it stored in my email, which is why it's easy for me to get to. So.
Okay. So the other thing is, speaking of the Google Drive, remember how I set you all up with links to the PCC Student Life Google page? It's an enterprise page, so it's got lots of space. And in there, there's an AS page, and each of you all has a file. Really would like you to all migrate your work over to that file, because what's going to happen is when you leave, the person who comes after you will have access to that file. And remember how every single one of you, or not every single one of you, but the majority of you are complaining that you did not get left any documentation. A lot of you said you didn't get anything from the group person before you. Well, I would like to establish this, that we're putting stuff there in the Google file, and then we just give, and it stays there. So it's a permanent file cabinet. So please make sure that that's where that goes. Okay, do you all understand? Do you remember when I sent you all that? Or do I need to send you guys the link? Do you folks the link again?
Can you resend it?
Yes, I'll go back through and send you all the links to your personal files. And that's where I would like you to keep all of your documentation. Anything that you work on, flyers that you make, IG posts that you make, even if you just want to leave a little page and leave your notes and your thoughts. That'd be really helpful, because think about the next person coming in who has no idea what they're getting into. And if they've got a little page of notes saying, yes, this was really hard, or don't worry, just ask Jordan or Carrie to do that, right? It would really help the next person out.
I think, or no, I'm looking at the 1Password, and the only link we have in there is the Dropbox for agendas, but I guess that is also part of the folder. So.
But if I gave everyone the link to share their individual files, they should be able to get into it, correct?
I'm not sure exactly what that question is, but I think maybe we can talk about it after the meeting.
Let's talk after, Chris. This is what so that's all I have. Thank you all.
All right. So thank you, advisors, for those lovely reports. So we can move on to agenda item 4, shared governance discussion. If anybody has any comments, questions, or concerns on something somebody reported on, you can go ahead and comment on that now. I'll go ahead and give y'all a few moments to unmute yourselves if you have anything you would like to say.
Yeah, so before the privacy group meets tomorrow, before we meet with Crystal, I guess I kind of wanted to present to you all maybe what the impressions of our work was so far. So reading the email here, we're actually, maybe before I do that, let me go ahead and find the Google Doc that we've been working on. So give me a moment. Sorry about that.
No problem.
There we go. So I'm going to share this and then copy this link. But essentially, what the impressions was of the questions that we made is that we, quote unquote, have a lot of assumptions. And I just want to kind of explore that point of criticism a little bit more to go ahead and then maybe work on what we can maybe discuss during the meeting in our smaller group tomorrow before we present this to Crystal, and what things maybe we should keep in mind. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah.
Because I know this is a kind of like a big issue for a lot of people, and Jordan also expressed that when he was talking with advisors during the conference that this also came up. So I wanted to make sure we have the right messaging with this before we present it. So again, with that criticism that we have a lot of assumptions in this survey, I personally don't see how. But I don't know. What are all of your thoughts on it? Looking again with fresh eyes here this week.
So can I say something? Is that
Yeah.
okay, Mackenzie?
You're good.
So I think the issue. I think Chris, what Crystal is probably trying to point out is that these questions can probably get restructured in a different way. That's not necessarily, because we were having this conversation in the meeting, right? In the privacy meetings, where it was like, we didn't want the questions to seem too pointed. So that way the data is going to come in sort of like favoring one side or another.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what she meant by that, which is why I think it's good we're having a meeting with her on Friday, is she can probably tell us, okay, well, instead of asking it like this, what about if you just ask this in general? Because what she might be able to do is like combine these questions into one generalized question that may give us data for like on either side, right? And so I think that's what she meant when she said it, but that was also a concern we were having as well with the questions.
Okay.
So I think what we need to do is what we have so far is fine. I think it's going to look a lot different after Friday, though, right? Because we're going to have somebody who has been doing this for years, right? Like that's her job, come in and say, hey, so this is how you might want to restructure it, which is good. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think for now, I think what we have is good because you don't want to also over inundate a survey with you don't want to over inundate students with questions.
I just want to get feedback with all of you all, because I don't know if I am not seeing something that you are seeing that maybe I can address
Chris?
with the larger group. Yeah.
So what I'm going to say is everyone has this, and because this is technically not a discussion item, it's a report on shared governance, I'm going to suggest that you request that everyone review this and send you responses by the end of today.
Okay. Let me change this so that people can comment. And if you have any comments, just kind of highlight the area of issue and tag it. And then we will take that into consideration when the privacy group meets tomorrow then.
And I'm going to ask that that you all are very good with helping each other out and supporting each other. But, Chris has made a very direct conversational request. So please make sure that you do take a look at that and provide him with some feedback today.
Okay.
Oops, sorry, I just had to move my Zoom bars again. They got thrown off. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to comment under this item? I can go ahead and give you all a moment.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
So when attending the calendar committee, something that was brought up was that the fact that the 21-22 calendar has yet to be approved, which is something that, especially since we're changing how the school year is formatted in that year, or that's the plan at least. So I think that it'd be, I just think it's not a good idea for us to let the students know so late, especially with only like a year's notice, to change how the school year is going to be formatted. We brought it up, but there's a issue apparently with like getting it approved down the line. So I don't know what you all suggestions are that we should bring to the next meeting moving forward. The main issue is that, or the main thing that's changing is that they are proposing that we remove winter in favor of 2 summers. And that would take place next year, but it hasn't been approved yet.
Advisors, do you have anything? Dr. Olivo?
I can provide some insight. There's a lot of research that shows, how we end finals week in the middle of December?
Right.
So that's 2 weeks in December. And then almost half of our students don't enroll in winter. So then there's 6 weeks plus 2 weeks in December. So that's 8 weeks that we don't have half of our students. And it's really tough on student persistence to have that huge break in between fall and spring semester. In higher education terms, we call it a melt period, where our students go away and then it's hard for us to get them back. So something we could try is what I've seen other colleges do is within a big long semester, you can schedule short-term classes so that students who want that 6-week class to, get through a sequence of courses, we can ask the dean, the vice president of instruction, which many of us are on the hiring committee and we have a meeting to get to in a few minutes. So the vice president of instruction can work with the deans to make sure we use that 17 weeks and we schedule chunks of classes in that time frame. That way we're setting up a structure so that we can get our students back in January rather than, having this 8-week period, 2 months, where more than half of our students aren't with us. So I just ask that you think about it from that perspective, to set up a structure on campus so that we can do both things, help students who are trying to get through sequence of classes in order to get their transfer requirements, but for us to help all 25 or 27,000 students to get back right after the holidays. I hope that provides you with another perspective to consider.
It does.
Do we have any other comments on this item?
Question for Alex.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you feel like you need to have further discussion on this to be able to carry an opinion? And there's Christina, you're on this, and Emmanuel, you're on that committee too. Do you need to have further discussion to be able to carry back an informed response to that committee?
No, everyone on the committee has been very willing to help explain things, the reasoning behind it, and I just wanted to get your guys' input on it.
Okay. Well, I was just wondering if you had enough input.
All right. Do we have any other do we have anything else we would like to discuss under this item? I can give y'all a moment to unmute yourselves if you have anything you would like to say.
So can I ask the students who are on the calendar committee, because clearly there was a difference of opinion between students and everybody else. Do you mind sharing what that difference was, what your concerns were? I think, for those of us who weren't in the meeting, a little more context might be helpful.
At least for me personally, my biggest worry was not being able to notify students with enough time, especially not so much for the 22-23 calendar, but the 21-22 calendar. I feel like that should be pushed sooner, but it's stopped somewhere up the chain. So hasn't reached the board of directors yet to get approved, but I don't know how we can help streamline that process.
Who else was on that committee? Emmanuel, you said you were on that committee.
Yeah, I'm thinking of my answer.
Then we also have Christina.
Okay.
All right. I think I'm on my LT right now, but I just wanted to say my personal opinions on it were the fact that, wait, can you guys hear me? Or
yep, we can hear you.
Okay. I just personally thought that, given that it's almost winter session and they haven't announced anything, a lot of people really don't know about this and they're planning, and a lot of people are stopping their education because they can't take online learning. And if we do go back to campus, the students won't know about it and it might conflict with their plans of transferring. And I was also thinking, mostly because I've talked to multiple teachers and professors, and they did tell me that statistically, people who take classes in the winter have done significantly better than people who have taken the 16-week courses.
Thank you, Christina. Emmanuel, do you have anything you would like to add?
Yeah, I mean, well, according to my report, I voted no on that, and based on the discussion we had that day, Christina just repeated what she mentioned that day, and for sure, students tend to do much better in 6 weeks than double that, according to our conversations on campus or with professors virtually. And I saw that more of a, it's kind of hard to focus on that since that was just one part of the discussion throughout the meeting. The focus seemed like for faculty, it's just a better chance to enjoy their holidays and not rush back to school on, say, January 4th or whatever. The regular, coming back from the New Year break. I expressed my experience, how I've benefited from the winter and summer, as well as sharing some experiences and feedback that I've gotten from students. I'm constantly asking students at the other meetings that I attend. I'm also part of other groups on campus besides AS. And with one big issue is simply not knowing how we can plan our year. And we see it with the classes this year. A lot of them set to be determined or to be announced. And that didn't really benefit us because we had to wait and stick around to see if it was going to be an asynchronous class or synchronous class, a live class. I just know that it would be presented to the board of directors, but I felt like my opinion was titular, my commitment. And I just left it as is. I said I would get back to them next meeting with more feedback, but that's all I had to say that day.
All right. Thank you for your input, Emmanuel. Oh, I know it's two hands up. We had Christina and Louise. I think Christina had her hand up first, and then we'll get to you, Louise.
Okay, I'm gonna make this really fast because I do have to go to the Vice President of Instruction meeting. But what my points were is that I just wanted to know if they ever surveyed the students, whether they would like it or whether it correlates with their plans. And sorry, I'm like running. But one point that was brought up was that that they really wanted to do this because they wanted to have a better light for internships. And to me, I just wanted to ask, like, why for internships? Because, other schools around us, they kind of end around the same time. And at the same time, if we are doing this for internships and if we end up doing 2 summers, basically we do have a lot of students from other schools coming in to take our classes during the summer. So I just want to know if, even though they're at a lower priority, there's a lot of students who have been at PCC who may not be able to register on time for their courses. And I know winter, they have a better chance of getting their courses as opposed to summer because so many students enroll because they want to take classes to get further in other schools. But that was just my 2 cents on it.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna go right now. So bye guys. I'm gonna go to the hiring committee.
Thank you for your input. And I believe several other people need to go as well for calendar. Let's see public comments. All right, we've got some public comments saying students are currently planning on winter for transfer and they feel it's too short of notice. Cutting winter classes upcoming semesters too short notice, especially STEM majors. And then also, Louise, you had your hand up.
Oh no, I think Kyle basically just said what I wanted to say, which is I think it's going to be, I'm not exactly sure on how the school is going to help students that are looking to transfer, because I know that winter session is very important for people who are trying to like put in a lot of classes just before the summer because colleges don't accept summer classes usually when you're transferring. So I don't know if there's going to be like a way that we can either let students know ahead of time to take like those 2 summer courses before the next year and then they have to transfer, or if there's going to be like let's say like an 8-week and an 8-week to accommodate for that change in transition. That was just my like question or like recommendations.
Sorry, I'm reading the chat at the same time. You said Jacqueline Javier. Sorry, guys, I'm like catching up in the chat as we're going on through this. As I catch up on here, did anybody else have anything they wanted to chime in on this?
I just wanted to mention we have a new work-based coordinator, and her name is Jacqueline Javier. And her job is to help the 27,000 students, 25,000 during this semester, to create a structure so that we provide internships on a larger scale for our students. And what we have found is we're one of the community colleges who ends the latest than all of the neighboring community colleges. And so I've had it so that even some of you leaders, I can't remember his name last year, Dean Cobb, but there was a student, he didn't participate in commencement because he did have an internship in Washington, D.C., and he had to leave so that he could go start it. Most internships start in early June. And because our structure for our college ends mid-June, then our students miss out by and large on those opportunities unless you make personal sacrifices to miss commencement or rearrange your finals with your faculty, with your teachers. So we're just trying to, one, make sure we provide good retention strategies so that you're not gone for 6 weeks in winter, 2 weeks in the holidays, so 8 weeks. We get you all back in January. And if, I think it would be a good idea to get a commitment from instruction to create short-term classes nested within that 17-week period. So you can still take advantage of short-term classes to get through sequences for transfer requirements. And then I'm going to go to the interview committee too. Thank you.
Thank you for your time today, Dr. Olivo.
Bye.
Everyone. See you.
Thanks, Dr. Olivo.
Bye. All right. I know we've had a lot of discussion on this so far. Did anybody else have something they want to add in, or advisors, did you have something you want to chime into this to help us wrap around all of this?
So I know other things that have to be considered by the institution are employee contracts. And I know, so we certainly should be centering students in this, but employee contracts do have to be considered. And if this is going to have into effect a year from now, right?
Yes.
So I think there has to be a campaign to inform students and for students to adjust to that. So, I mean, I do think, I've been on the calendar committee, so I know how it works. And I know what a challenge it can be. But, I think there has to be a campaign for this. I also think there are probably some additional fiscal considerations that are being made related to this. I don't know if, nesting additional short-term classes for students who are probably already taking 19 units or 17 units is the answer. But that would be an opportunity. I do agree with Dr. Olivo, maybe to talk to Jacqueline Javier about, really what is the impact on internships? How many students could this potentially impact in terms of, what does this open up for students? And then what's the concerted effort if this is some of the reasoning why we're getting rid of winter? What is the concerted effort then by the institution to make sure that students have knowledge of and access to internships? And so I think those are just some things to be thinking about to ask, and also maybe invite Jacqueline. I think students should be centered on this. You also have to understand, while you all just showed up on this committee, this discussion was going on in this committee last year. And that students were also involved in this discussion last year. I'm not sure if anybody, Chris or David or Mackenzie, were on that committee.
No, it was only Dion.
Okay, and I know she pushed back on a lot, but just know that just because it's just coming to you, the discussion just didn't start this year. So it did start last year, and there was a lot of discussion about it. So, I mean, I think talk to your peers, ask questions on behalf of your peers, be thoughtful about the questions you're asking, and be critical thinkers.
Thank you, Dean Kyle. And then Jordan, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, just really quick, as somebody that was on calendar committee for probably 3 years of my life because of the sudden shift of taking away winter in the middle of a fall semester and us having to deal with the ramifications of that. Carrie was there as well. I don't think Dean Cobb, you were here at that, but be cognizant that if I were to go back, while we had every right to raise concerns and to be upset with the students, and while we were doing sort of damage control with transfers and all that stuff in the spring, if I were to give myself advice back then, it would be to look at the data and make a decision for yourselves. Because while you and the people in your immediate surroundings, maybe the organizations and programs that you're a part of, have had a certain experience, know that that is insular compared to the larger student population, right? And what I always try to say is data should not lie, right? Like if you're given a certain thing of data, or if you even go to Crystal or meet with Jacqueline, like Becky or like Dean Cobb had said, make sure you're asking for all the data that shows this, right? And I don't know if they're doing that in the calendar committee. That's what I used to ask for, because I feel like once you're informed of what everyone else is seeing, right, while also getting that input from students, it makes your argument and it makes your stance that much more powerful, right? Asking your friends is one thing, right? Doing a survey is another, and then looking at statewide data of how many colleges have also taken away winter, right? Can also be an eye-opener as well. And then using that as your way to make informed decisions, right? I think it's important to have that opinion where you're like this, we need to think about the students, right? Because that's what you're there for. But at the same time, as somebody that like went all in, right? And like I had to deal with the ramifications of some of my decisions and some of the things that I have said to other people. I wish I had somebody tell me, hey, slow down, take a minute, right? You all have a full year. Well, I mean, a little less than a full year to come to some sort of conclusion, and maybe some, like, I would say like middle ground between meeting where the students may need to be met, as well as what Dean Cobb was also mentioning, right? And I'm sort of channeling Dean Cobb by saying, hey, you got to slow down and take a look at the entire picture. So just remember that, because while I was in I was in a very similar situation, I just wish I could go back and give myself that advice. So if you need help getting in contact with these people, let me, Dean Cobb, or Carrie know, and we can do that for you. Or we can also get you the data as well.
All right. Thank you, Jordan. Did anybody have any final thoughts on this? Yep, Carrie?
So I always go back to my question is, how do you know this is what students want? Right? I think because I've spoken to a couple of you about calendar committee and making these decisions. And my answer always is, how do you know that this is what students want? How have you reached out to them? How have you had discussions with them? And I'm going to push back a little bit on what Jordan says, because I think data can lie. I think what you need to ask is, how is that data interpreted, right? So Crystal gets the raw information, but you need to ask these questions. That's why you're meeting with her on Friday. How was this survey constructed? Which is why also that Chris is getting pushback on the questions, because if you ask questions in a certain way, of course you're going to get the answer that you're looking for. But that's data, right? So, but what I want you to say is, if you start talking to and form these relationships in your classrooms and ask students, go to PC, I hate it, you all hate it, go to PCC book sale, right? But you have one student who's on your YouTube, watching your YouTube account, and she's given her opinion, right? That's one person and the three of you. So whatever you do, my question always will be, you don't get to vote just because you feel that way. There's so many considerations that have to take into, you have to think of, right? There's contract. That goes back to Emmanuel's thing about how he was thinking that this is just about their schedules. It is, it is their contract, because they're on as a shared governance representative. So they're representing faculty, but you're there as students to remind them that they need to center students in this conversation. And I think you're absolutely right that whatever it is, you're now giving students 18 months to make a discussion, to make a decision. And I think it's that we need to talk about how that happens. And the sooner it happens, the sooner these students we can know what's going to go on. But understand that I'm actually still surprised that this conversation is still happening, because pretty much I remember Dion and I going around with it and going around with Terry Jr. last year, because I thought this had already been settled and they had decided to get rid of winter last year. So I'm surprised it's back. But, but going back to my original piece is, how do you know this is what students want? And if you haven't polled your students and you haven't asked them, then you're no better than anyone else on that committee making a decision without any context.
All right. Thank you, Carrie. Did anybody else have any final thoughts that they wanted to add to this before we move on? Because we have been on this item for a while.
I just final thoughts.
Go for it.
I think even the bigger question of whether students want this or not, the bigger question to ask is, what's the precedent? What colleges have done this, and what were the student outcome impacts? If the outcome impacts were negative, then there's no reason to do this.
All right. Thank you, David. Do we have any other final thoughts before we move on? Nope.
What is the cost savings of this? Does anyone have the figures?
I'm not sure, actually. Carrie, Dean Cobb?
I don't. And I think that's a question you should ask. And I think when, you talk about data, that is certainly the data that you should look for additionally. And I would say particularly in the next 3 years, where we know that the state and higher ed are going to take other fiscal hits. So, and I put that in that context for you, that administration has to make decisions within that context, right? So if there is a financial savings to not have winter, somehow you have to know that that's a consideration that's being made as well. So is Dr. Junie the chair still?
He's co-chair with Matt Hennis.
I would ask your chairs for that data.
Okay.
Any other final thoughts before we move on? Sorry for my throat. Going once, going twice. Sold. We can go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. So moving on to agenda item 5, action items, approval of Spirit Week budget. And so now, Alex, the floor is yours.
Hello. Okay, so in the beginning of November, I'm hosting Spirit Week, and I'd like to propose my budget for the event. So this is the budget that I have come up with for the event as a whole. This will encompass the entire week, not just one of the days. So it is my recommendation that the executive board approves the Spirit Week budget not to exceed $5,000 coming out of the student activity fee budget. If there's anything
do we have any discussion? No. All right, so Alex, you're actually able to move to approve this if you would like.
Cool, then I would like to move approval of the budget for Spirit Week not to exceed $5,000. I'd like to motion. Wait. Yeah. I'd like to make a motion, right?
Yeah.
make a motion to approve the budget for Spirit Week not to exceed $5,000 coming out of the student activity fee budget.
All right. We have a motion by Alex. Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
All right. Second by Kyle. Then we can go ahead and bring this to a roll. Actually, some people left, so I'm going to do voting by how I see you all on my screens right now. Luis?
Aye.
Alex?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jasmine?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Emmanuel?
Aye.
All right, motion approved. I was going to say unanimously by everyone here, but we're going to have to do an abstention for Christina since she did leave early. Let's see. We removed the second action item, so moving on to discussion items. Invited guests? We have none here. AS training. Carrie, do we have anything we would like to cover during this?
Just a couple of things, but I'm going to say I'd like to end it early. Mackenzie, if we can make sure that, I don't know what the mechanism you want to do. I don't know if you want to have Alex do this, or if you want to do this, or if you want to have Francis do this, but someone needs to send a request to Sharon for the motion that was just passed because it's greater than $3,000. And what happens to stuff more than $3,000?
Has to be approved by Board of Trustees.
So it needs to get to Sharon somehow so she can create a board agenda item to get it to the board. So I don't know who wants to do that. So that's the one thing. I'm actually gonna say let's call it early because I can't believe it's week 7 and there's still stuff that I have to get done. So unless one of the other advisors has something that they really feel needs to be brought up.
Seems like a no. Okay, then we can go ahead and move on with the agenda.
Yeah,
right.
I do have to say, I do have to apologize to Chris on me stopping his discussion earlier during discussion for his privacy, the questions. I misread that. I thought it was a report, not a discussion. So in the future, you can have those discussions there. So sorry, Chris.
All right, hold on, let me check that. Up next, Board of Trustees, 21st. All right. So, okay, moving on with the agenda. Moving on to appointments to college-wide committees. I know of none at the moment. Dean Cobb, Carrie, is there any that you've heard that we need?
Let me look at my schedule.
There was 2 requests in the chat.
Oh yeah, the student, is Jasmine currently appointed to student success?
We have her appointed, but her email didn't get on the mailing list for the last meeting, so she couldn't make it for then, but she's going to be at the next one.
Okay, can you reach out to Micaela and let her know?
Yep, I'll do that after this meeting.
And then be looking for a non-AS member as well.
Yes.
So I don't know, maybe Jasmine, you're working on that, Mackenzie?
Yep, we currently have Connie sitting in as the non-AS person sitting in on it, but we do have spots for 2 more. But also Carrie had mentioned before about bringing in committee members, so.
Right. That's what I told her. I told her you are in the process of getting your committees together. So, yeah. So you'll have 1 more after Jasmine, but I don't think it's a bad idea to have an alternate. Those meetings are open anyway.
Mackenzie, why don't you send the description to Chris and he can put it out in his weekly newsletter to see if there's a club member at large that wants to join.
All right, no problem. Let me just write that note and then I'll go ahead and move on. All right. So speaking of AS committees, moving on to next agenda item, appointment to AS committees. I believe we have some people here who are ready to appoint some members to their committees.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Hello. All right. I just say their names, right? I don't really know.
Yep. Yeah, just say their names.
Okay. I'm appointing Isabel Liu, Yugen Lim, Natalia Hernandez Martinez, Jae-Hun Huang, Oscar Lee, Jalen Zhu, Sophia Barber, and Alex Quintanar to my committee.
Yay!
Yay! All right. And yeah.
I believe we have someone up next to appoint members to their committee.
I only have, as of right now, I'd like to appoint Connie Rivera, Pearl Hay, and Danielle Guerrero to the Campus Activities Committee.
Yay. All right. These are the two I was notified. Is there anybody else who's ready to start appointing people that I wasn't sure about? No? Okay. We can go ahead and move on then with the agenda. So moving on to bill acceptance. Kelly left, but we have none that I know of. Public comment on non-agenda items. Carrie, do we have any other public comment that we should mention here?
Let me double check.
Yeah. Sorry, y'all. If I try and check the YouTube chat, it still shows me the live stream stuff, so I can't see the comments, or at least I gotta dig. So it's easier for me to ask all of you.
I'm pretty sure there is nothing. I think it was just the concern, the conversation around.
Winter.
Yeah, winter.
Okay. All right. Then we can go ahead and move on to announcements. Anybody have any announcements? Well, like David mentioned in the chat, Board of Trustees. Go for it.
Sorry, I meant to. So I have to do interviews for one of my papers that I'm doing. If you or anybody you know identifies with the LGBTQ community, specifically males, that would be great. If any of you want to volunteer, just let me know. If not, I just need to know by Friday, just so that way I can do them over the weekend. But anyway, just wanted to throw that out there.
All right. Thank you, Jordan. Do we have any other announcements?
Can I have Jasmine, can you stay after and Emmanuel stay after so we can schedule a meeting? Jasmine, you and I need to work on the returning of your mouse so I can get you a Bluetooth.
Any other announcements? Emmanuel, I believe you sent something in the chat.
Yes, I'd like to, I don't know how to share the flyer for this, but this event is a virtual election fair, and they will be discussing upcoming candidates for this November election. It's through Cal Poly Pomona, and you just have to sign up on Eventbrite. It's a free event. It's open to the public. I will be attending because a friend of mine through this prison education program will be speaking there, and she will share her experience as a formerly incarcerated individual who was away for 30 years.
There's a proposition on a ballot to allow formerly incarcerated people to vote. So please make sure you take a look at that too, if it concerns you.
All right. Thank you. Do we have any other announcements? No, don't have to be shy. If you have anything you want to say, you can go ahead. No? Okay. Then on that note, future meeting dates and times. Our next meeting is October 14th. Make sure you send me any agenda items by October 8th, including their supplemental items. On that note, I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting at 1:26 p.m.
Adjourn.
I move. Oh.
Okay, so first by David, second by Louise. Again, I'm just going to vote. I'm going to call y'all by how I see you on my screen since everyone's been moving and people left. Louise?
Aye.
Alex?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jasmine?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Emmanuel?
Aye.
All right, we are officially adjourned. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to get us off this live.
Bye.
Hey, Francis. Oh, is Francis still listening or no? You've stopped it.